Do we obey? Do we walk in obedience? That is a question we want to ask ourselves tonight. And I think we will get answers right here in the Word of God. That is where the answers are. So as we look at obedience, why should we obey? Obedience is for our own good. It serves our purpose and it serves us well. So when we are being asked to obey your parents, obey God's commandments, obey the laws of the land, it is for your own good. Because failure to obey has its own consequences. So we are going to look at a few examples in our scriptures about obedience. And we are going to start with a reading from the book of 1 Samuel, that is 15, verse 22, where it says, "Does the Lord so delight in holocausts and sacrifices, as in obedience to the command of the Lord? Obedience is better than sacrifice, and submission than the fat of rams. For a sin like divination is rebellion, and presumption is the crime of idolatry." So when we do not obey, it is like practicing idolatry. It's like the sin of divination, which is equal to rebellion. So this is why we are asked to obey. Remember, Saul had been made king, had been anointed, but he did not follow a few instructions that were given to him. And that is how he lost his kingship, because of failure to obey. So Samuel tells him, "Because you have rejected the command of the Lord, he too has rejected you as leader." That's why I've said that failure to obey has its consequences. Saul has lost his leadership. Remember, he was king of Israel. He has now lost that because of disobedience. And when he was told to obey, he failed to obey, not knowing that there will be consequences. So we are told to always obey, receive instructions and follow them, because it is for our own good. It is not for the good of anyone else. So like I have said, we are going to get our answers on obedience right here from the Word of God, because we know that the Word of God is alive and active. And the Word of God is truth, because it is God Himself who has spoken. And we know God is not a man that He can lie. So we will look again at a word from 2 Kings 5, chapter 5, verse 1 to around 19. And that is a story that we know very well of Naaman. We know Naaman was an army general or a commander of the army of the king of Aram, and was highly esteemed and respected by his master. For through him, the Lord had brought victory to Aram. So you can see he was a valiant soldier. Yeah? But valiant as he was, the man was a leper. He was a leper. And remember, lepers were outcasts. But here is an army general who is a leper. Now the Arameans had captured from the land of Israel in a raid a little girl, who became the servant of Naaman's wife. If only my master, this is now the girl thinking aloud, If only my master would present himself to the prophet in Samaria, she said to her mistress. Imagine, this is a slave girl who has been used by God to deliver a message. And most of the times, we look at the messenger instead of listening to the message. So, let us form a habit of listening to the message, but not looking at the messenger. The mistake we make most of the times is looking at the messenger and wondering, now what can this one tell me? Remember, even Jesus was despised because he was the son of a carpenter. Yet he was the Messiah. He's the one who came to bring salvation to the world. But just because of his humble background, they despised him. Most of them were asking, can anything good come from Nazareth? Is this not the son of Joseph? Now here is a small girl who is a maid, and she's giving a very, very important message for the commander of the army. And she's giving this message to the wife. If only my master would present himself to the prophet in Samaria, she said to her mistress, he would cure him of his leprosy. See, the girl is sympathizing, and the girl has the way out. She knows the prophet in Samaria can cure Naaman. So she did not stay with the information just because she was a maid. She decided to deliver the message. Sometimes we hold information because we think that nobody will listen to us. That is not the way to go. Let us deliver the message and let the people or the person choose to either listen or not to listen. And this is what this girl did. She said he would cure him of his leprosy. Naaman went and told his lord just what the slave girl from the land of Israel had said. Go, said the king of Aram. See, the king is agreeable. If this is what the girl has said, because this is a man he has respected, he's in charge of his army, but he has a defect. He is sick, he has leprosy. And remember, leprosy used to kill because the parts of the body used to fall one by one. I will send along a letter to the king of Israel. So Naaman set out, taking along 10 silver talents. See, he has obeyed a voice from a maid, a slave. So 6,000 gold pieces and 10 foster garments to the king of Israel. He brought the letter which read, with this letter I am sending my servant Naaman to you, that you may cure him of his leprosy. Now the letter has gone to the king, but that is not what the girl had said. The girl had said it is the prophet in Samaria. But let's hear what will happen. When he read the letter, the king of Israel tore his garments and exclaimed, am I a god with power over life and death, that this man should send someone to me to be cured of leprosy? Take note, you can see he is only looking for a quarrel with me. The king knew he couldn't cure, and now the letter has come to him from the other king, and he's just surprised and he's saying the king is looking for quarrels with him. And remember, this is the man who commands the king's army. So the king is now wondering, if I don't cure this man who has been sent, these people are going to come and kill us or capture us. So when Elisha, the man of God, heard that the king of Israel had torn his garments, he sent word to the king, why have you torn your garments? Let him come to me and find out that there is a prophet in Israel. Remember that the slave girl had talked about a prophet, not the king. It is the prophet who was supposed to cure Naaman. Now the prophet has heard the news, and he has said the man to go to him. Naaman came with his horses and chariots and stopped at the door of Elisha's house. The prophet sent him the message, "Go and wash 7 times in the Jordan, and your flesh will be healed, and you will be clean." So he has been sent to go and wash in the Jordan. Let us hear what happens. But Naaman went away angry, saying, "I thought that he would surely come out and stand there to invoke the Lord his God, and would move his hand over the spot and thus cure that leprosy. Are not the rivers of Damascus, the Abana and the Parfa, better than all the waters of Israel? Could I not wash in them and be cleansed?" With this, he turned about in anger and left. Listen now to what Naaman has done. Naaman has come all the way, but he does not want to follow instructions that have been given to him for his own benefit. It is not anyone else's benefit. It is for his own benefit. He's the one who wants to get cured, and he's the one who will receive the cure. But now he has his own thinking that he has left rivers where he has come from, and then he has been sent all the way to Jordan. So he's wondering, what is so special about Jordan that I should go? And now it's not even once, it is 7 times. I dip myself 7 times in that river. But his servants came up and reasoned with him. Now he's angry, he's not listening, he does not want to obey. But his servants came up and reasoned with him. "My father," they said, "if the prophet had told you to do something extraordinary, would you not have done it? All the more now, since he told you, 'Wash and be clean,' should you do as he said?" So Naaman went down and plunged into the Jordan 7 times at the word of the man of God. His flesh became again like the flesh of a little child, and he was clean. Now he has obeyed, and a miracle has happened. He has been cured, and he has been made clean, and we are told his skin became like the skin of a child. Imagine, when a child is born, that skin, that is how now Naaman's skin looks like. How about if he did not obey what the servants told him? Remember, the information came from the slave girl. Then he decided to go all the way to Israel. And then when he heard about the rivers at River Jordan, he got angry because he thought the prophet was going to pray over him. He was going to touch him and let him get healed. But you see, God has his ways of doing things. The prophet could have done that, but that was not what God wanted. That is not how he wanted Naaman's healing. He wanted him to go and wash in River Jordan. And those were the instructions. But most of the times, we don't like following instructions. And like I said before, as I was starting this talk, do we obey? Most of the times, we don't want to obey because we have our own thinking. Our minds are set, and we do not want to listen to what other people are saying. We want to use our own thinking. We want to use our own understanding. Naaman was right. He had left rivers wherever he came from. And not even one river. He's saying there are several. Just to be told to come all the way to Israel, to wash in River Jordan, and dip himself 7 times. This one was not making sense to him. But can you see? He has now gotten cured. That is why we are told obedience is better than sacrifice. When we obey, it is for our own good. When we fail to obey, it is for our own disadvantage. I said we have got many things that we are supposed to obey, or many rules. Colossians 3:20 says, "Children, obey your parents." Disobeying your parents has its consequences. And we know that is the truth. Then let us look at Jeremiah 7:23. Jeremiah 7:23. Jeremiah chapter 7, verse 23. And it says, but they obeyed not. 23 says, this rather is what I commanded them. Listen to my voice, then I'll be your God, and you shall be my people. Walk in all the ways that I command you, so that you may prosper. But they obeyed not, nor did they pay heed. They walked in the hardness of their evil hearts, and turned their backs, not their faces, to me. From the day that your fathers left the land of Egypt, even to this day, I have sent you untiringly all my servants the prophets. Yet they have not obeyed me nor paid heed. They have stiffened their necks and done worse than their fathers. When you speak all these words to them, they will not listen to you either. When you call to them, they will not answer you. Say to them, this is the nation which does not listen to the voice of the Lord its God, or take correction. Faithfulness has disappeared. The word itself is banished from their speech. So we hear the effect of disobedience. They have hardened their hearts. They cannot listen to what the commands God is giving, but to whose disadvantage? It is to their disadvantage. It is to their disadvantage. Because if you disobey God, He has His ways of dealing with people who disobey Him. He has His ways of punishing people who disobey Him. So when we obey, it is for our own good, not for God's good. It is for our own good. That is why we should obey and we should listen. If we look at 1 John chapter 2, verse 5 to 6. John chapter 2, verse 5 to 6. Then, whoever says, I know him, but does not keep his commandments is a liar, and the truth is not in him. But whoever keeps his word, the love of God is truly perfected in him. This is the way we may know that we are in union with him. Whoever claims to abide in him ought to live just as he lived. So we are being reminded that if we say we love God, we have to keep his commandments. We have to obey. That is what we are being told in short. We have to obey him and we have to obey his commandments. And 1 John verses 3, we are told, verses 3, 1 John chapter 5, verses 3, for the love of God is this, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not burdensome. So we are being asked to obey, we are being asked to become obedient in all our dealings, in all our ways, because it is for our own good. We serve ourselves better when we live in obedience. We serve God's purpose when we live in obedience. So when we do not obey, it means we really are not ready to walk the right path. Because God is faithful, God is love, God is loving, and we are being told here his commandments are not burdensome. Remember Jesus saying, take my yoke, for it is light. Take my yoke, for it is light. So the commandments of God, we are being told, are not burdensome. They are light. So we have to obey those commandments. If we do not obey, it means we are not with God. Because those who are with God will always obey his commandments. So Remember, obedience is better than sacrifice. And if this information is relevant to you, to your life, please subscribe to this channel or leave a comment below this channel. Thank you very much. May God bless you.